Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Every day is a good day. There is something to learn, care, and celebrate. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. A wonderful day, all of you. Welcome to our Institution of Global Professional Fee International webinar. Once again, I am Kamrul, coordinator of IGP from Bangladesh. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to be associated with IGP as a global member. And I feel honored to host this webinar, and it's my delight to welcome you all to our Institution of Global Professional Fee webinar. Before starting the program, I request everyone to share this webinar in your newsfeed and social media. And don't forget to mention your friends in the comment box. And time to time, you like our Facebook page and subscribe our YouTube channel. Before we have completed our 763 webinars successfully. Now I will be presenting webinar number 764, and the topic is CPD program in the new normal. Today we have a speaker from Philippines. Let's welcome our speaker to the screen. Hello ma'am, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, and I'm happy to be here, invited as the resource speaker for the 764. I'm very amazed to learn that this is the 764 webinar provided by the IGP. And thank you so much for your introduction. Yes, I am from the Philippines and I'm a faculty of the College of Teacher Education from Laguna State Polytechnic University, of course, Los Baños campus from the Philippines. And of course, I am the director of the academic department of the International English Language Teachers Association. So if you want to get to know more about me, you can, of course, visit the IELTA page, the official Facebook page of the International English Language Teachers Association. Should I start the presentation?
Yes ma'am, you can start your presentation.
Should I start the presentation now?
Yes ma'am, you can start your presentation now.
Wow, thank you. And I'll be happy if you are going to assist me in the navigation of the slides. Once again, to all our Facebook viewers live on the official Facebook page of the Institute of Global Professionals, welcome and good afternoon again from the Philippines. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are, from where or which country you are. We would like to welcome you here on the 764th session of the IGP webinar. So we are very proud to be members of the IGP because of the learning of the webinars, seminars, training that they are providing for each one of us. And today I am tasked to talk about the continuing professional development in the new normal. So this is actually from my own dissertation entitled Lived Experiences of Educators Engaged in Continuing Professional Development in the New Normal. And this study was actually finished and completed last year around May 2021 with 7 countries, because I have been involved with different countries engaged in continuing professional development. Even before, I just would like to share a little story of how I started with continuing professional development. So even before the pandemic, I am already providing and facilitating free professional development courses for educators in the Philippines, of course, particularly for the teachers of the Department of Education, right? So I am a founder and a facilitator of the MOOC Camp Laguna. We were actually 5, and then I belong to the MOOC Camp Laguna 2, right? And I have provided, together with the team, several courses from U.S. Department of State. And then we actually have finished 5 courses, and the certification were already granted. The certifications were already granted by the Regional English Language Office through the United States Embassy Manila. And and of course, because in my heart I would love to share the opportunities with fellow educators, because I really believe in our passion for learning. And I really believe that every day is a learning process. Even we have finished already degrees, even we already have finished courses, still every day is a learning process. And that goes the continuing professional development for educators, right? Again, I involved 7 countries, of course. My participants were from the Philippines, I have from Pakistan, I have from Peru, I have from Panama, I have from Morocco, I have from Nigeria, and of course, I have from USA. So those are the insights, that I got. I consolidated and come up with this study, the lived experiences of educators engage in doing professional development in the new normal. And the output of this study was already shared with different countries, right? Next slide, please. All right. Once again, this is Glenn Cortazano from the Philippines, and I'll be giving you right the CPD program in the new normal. And I already have thanked the Institute of Global Professionals. Right. I love here figure skills, innovate, inspire, and pace. And I would like to add incorporate research. Right. So I'm also an advocate of doing research, since I also serve as panel as advisor for research for our thesis for the of Master of Arts in Education, right? Particularly major in English. And so I found the love in doing research because of my colleagues, right? Because of the LSP of Laguna State Polytechnic University, because we really give importance, we really value the significance of research. So from them, I fell in love doing research. So I owe this a lot, of course, from Laguna State Polytechnic University, of course, my own campus, Los Baños campus, all right? And of course, this presentation is actually already published, right? This is an open access article under the CCBYNC license. So you can browse, right, the copy of my paper, The Lived Experiences. So I am the main author here, Dr. Glenn P. Cortesano, of course, together with my advisor, Dr. Rolando D. Maningas, whom I owe a lot for the concept of this study, for the completion of studies. And of course, I also uh, owe a lot from my panel, Dr. Alberto Diazon, Dr. Lerma P. Buenvenida, Dr. Consorcia Tan, and of course, Dr. Victoria Itaban, for helping me conceptualizing and preparing this research. Again, you can browse this from the research gate. This is already available because this is already being published, right? So you can access the paper on the said link. I actually provided the copy of the presentation to IGP. And of course, just go directly to Google and search for the title of my presentation, right? So when we talk about teachers' professional development, it is described as activities that improve teachers' skills. You would agree with me. I know that you would agree with me. When we talk about teachers' professional development, activities that improve teachers' skills, knowledge, expertise, and other teacher characteristics. If you would like to share your insights, I'm actually monitoring the Facebook Live because I would like to see if the participants would like to share their insights. So if I ask you about the meaning of CPD, how are you, or if I ask you to describe CPD in your own context, remember this study is a consolidation of the insights coming from 7 countries, right? Now, if there are participants here coming from the countries which I did not mention or which I was not able to include in my studies, if I ask you to describe continuing professional development, how are you going to describe the CPD? You can actually put your comment there on the Facebook live feed so I can check if how you describe. I can check your responses, I can check your comments on how are you going to describe the continuing professional development in your own context or in your own country. Let me wait in 5 seconds if there are comments which will appear here. Right? It says here you introduce yourself, name, profession, and interest. I hope that all of the educators would, really be interested in engaging to continuing professional development. Remember, we should not stop learning. That's actually my principles in life, my advocacy in life, that every day is a learning process, right? Every minute we learn, and we need to equip ourselves. Why? Because we are in the field. We have to adjust, we have to adopt, we have to reskill, retool, upskill, learn, relearn, unlearn, right? Because at the end of the day, everything that we do, right, on our professional development would benefit our students. Remember, everything that we are doing is for the benefit of our students. Right? Let me continue. So, due to the current situation, I know everyone is familiar with the COVID-19 pandemic, which is considered as the major global pandemic for the last 100 years. Teachers' professional development has been greatly affected because remember before we were sent by our respective institutions to different trainings, right, to different capability building, to different seminars, workshops. But because of the current situation, right, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, but we're very happy that slowly or gradually we're moving, back to the now normal. What I'm trying to say is shifting again, right, to face. I know we call today the now normal, right, or the next normal, right? But still, we are very happy that gradually we are moving to face interaction. However, how long we don't know because COVID is still there, right? COVID is again a thing that we have to consider because it is still present, right? So this study would also be, significant even nowadays or in the future. Why significant? Why useful? Because we can consider the diversity, of the diversity, the geographic location, right? That we can actually collaborate with other countries. And it is possible, you know, it is possible to collaborate with other countries. And this is the focus of this study, the CPD in the new normal. It is not only contained in the Philippines, right? In my own country. However, I also engage myself, right, in other countries, right? I've been um, collaborating with almost 31 countries and doing professional development, right? In the Philippines, the higher education institution, the Department of Education, of course, everybody's concern, right, was to avoid the spread of the COVID-19. That is why we've been put into restrictions, right? Now, the challenge now is because of the implementation of the quarantine, the challenge now is how to continue, right? The teaching and learning beyond face to face interaction. And I'm very happy to share and very proud to share that of course, the Laguna State Polytechnic University, through our university president, Dr. Mario R. Briones, we were able to you know to cope with the challenge of the COVID-19 pandemic through the Learning Continuity Plan, also headed by Dr. Alberto Yason and our VPAA, Dr. Eden Calio. So we work together in order to still deliver quality learning to our students. And even, I am very happy to share that the Laguna State Polytechnic University, right, is also being, supportive of the professional development of teachers. So we've been engaged to various webinars, right? Again, I am mentioning this to you because this is actually the significance of this study. So educational institution, we know most part of the world are physically closed, right? With students and faculty forced to shift from the traditional to distance learning and of course working from home. I hope you can also share your experiences, right? While you are working from home, delivering learnings at home, right? Or from home. So with this drastic change, the education sector faces unprecedented challenging situation. But I'm very happy to say that all of us were able to combat the challenge, right? So I'm very happy that during the pandemic, right, one of the professional learning network that we have, right, is the creation of the International English Language Teachers Association, headed by our president from Peru, of course, our vice president from Lebanon, right? Our general secretary before was from Spain, now from Pakistan. And I'm very happy as a Filipino educator that I am one of the founding members of the International English Language Teachers Association. And we did not stop, right, from collaborating with other countries and providing professional development with other countries, right? And of course, globally, we all know teacher education programs are designed to provide educators with certification and competencies, right? Remember those key terms: certifications and competencies required in their professional career. So, this is coming from RAW 2004, right? So, institutional management intentionally creates in service training. That's unlike what I shared to you, right? What Laguna State Polytechnic University is really doing, right? We did not stop learning. We were sent to different webinars, trainings, and workshop, right? Even at the expense at our home, even we stay at home, right? And then for Ali 2008 and Gasky 2002, both of them emphasize the importance of professional development, right? Saying it's not only just professional development, but high quality professional development. This is a central component of virtually every modern plan for improving education. So even we were restricted, right? There are several efforts, right? There are various efforts just to continue the learning process, not only with our students, but of course the teachers themselves. Because as I mentioned, we still have to equip ourselves. We still have to really be equipped with skills, with competencies, with strategies, with teaching methods, particularly in the new normal, right? So, given the key importance of professional development programs for the successful realization of any educational transformation, remember we were transformed, right? School staff quality of learning activities is a major issue in both policy discussion and educational research. So this is coming from Wilson and Byrne in 1999, right? So as the world begins to relax some of the restrict measures that have been placed, the only thing is that the new normal will not be the same as before. So for this reason, right, based from the experiences, based from my collaboration with other countries, and I really admire these educators from different countries because I have seen their hunger, I have seen their thirst, thirst to learn, thirst to engage in professional development, I see how motivated educators are. I saw how inspired they are to engage themselves with continuing professional development. This is actually one of my inspiration in conducting this study. You know what? The manuscript is originally 720 pages. I worked for several months, right? A 720 page original manuscript, right? But it is only 520 because of the issue on book binding, right? Now, again, I saw the big challenge that lies in what new skills do educators need to support the students and how they can continue to develop as professionals in the current situation. Remember my advocacy, right? We do not stop learning, even during the pandemic. And this, the opportunities that I provided together with my team, that I provided with educators around the world, has provided me an opportunity to be provided with a free course, a CPD course, funded by the United States Department of State, because I have heard that I started providing webinars for educators for free since the onset of pandemic, May 2020. No, we started providing May 2020, May 2021. For how many years the pandemic is here? That's how long I am providing with the team, right? Facilitating professional development for teachers. All right. So, with the shared practices and experiences of educators, that's why I would love to hear, the thoughts of other educators coming from the countries I did not mention. Right. So these are the shared practices and experiences of educators leading professional development, and they are also academic leaders in any education sector. Coming from the Philippines, USA, Panama, Nigeria, Pakistan, Morocco, and Peru. So, in order to explore and understand the lived experiences of educators engaged in continuing professional development, this is actually the research problem, right? And the objectives. I hope you can see my presentation. So, these are the main research question and the corollary questions which have I answered in my study. So, what is the essence of the lived experience of educators engaged in continuing professional development in the new normal? And later in my discussion, I'll be sharing to you the process, that I have undergone in order to come up with this study, right? The process that I've used, the process which I followed in order to have this study. Okay, and I also studied the different and reviewed, right, the different policies, the different programs of the countries I'd mentioned. So it's not only the Philippines I also concentrated, but I also study, review, read, search, research for the context, about the context of the professional development, continuing professional development, right, in the countries I involved. Okay, so I studied the CPD in Nigeria, I studied the CPD in USA, I studied the CPD in Pakistan, in Morocco, right, in Panama, in Peru, in order for me to have, right, an idea or ideas or insights on how CPD is going on in their country, right, or in their countries, right. And of course, I know very well the continued professional development in the Philippines. So, my first question is, how do educators describe their experiences as regards to the challenges encountered in continuing professional development in the new normal? Now, with these questions, I would like to acknowledge, of course, the validators of these questions. I formulated these questions, but there are experts who validated these questions. Dr. Nympha Di Maculangan of Laguna State Polytechnic University, Sir Nelson Del Mundo from DepEd, of course. I also have our MOOC, the Massive Open Online Courses, Father Dr. Romualdo Di Babuan. And of course, I also have Dr. Cincy Kekolea from DepEd as well. So they are the people. Dr. Mirna Medrano, my very own mom from Laguna State Polytechnic University, she also validated the questions. So these questions are validated by experts, right? By doctors who engage in qualitative research. So the second question is, how do they perceive their experiences in continuing professional development in the new normal? And then I um, explore the themes that emerge from the testimonies. And of course, based from the findings and reflections, I have come up with an output, a continuing professional development training plan for educators, which I am very willing to share with you, right? I provided module on continuing professional development. Again, I am very proud and I'm very willing, the correct word is I'm very willing to share with you this output. All right. So the general objective of this study, well, I'm doing a qualitative research. This is a qualitative research, right? That's why the title is Live Experiences. It's a phenomenological study. Right? I'll be sharing to you what phenomenological study and qualitative research is. So actually, we are hitting several topics in my presentation today. Aside from I'll be sharing to you, no, I'm sharing to you, right? The continuing professional development in the new normal, and then also be sharing with you how a qualitative, a lived experiences, a phenomenological study is being conducted, right? So the general objective of this study was to explore and understand the lived experience of educators engaged in continuing professional development in the new normal, right? And of course, how I was able to come up with this study. So this is the research methodology. So this is I created this diagram, for you to, it's an infograph or a table, for us to easily grasp, okay, the process, right? So this is phenomenological study, right? My reference here is Mustaka's 1994. So if you would like to engage in doing qualitative research, particularly the transcendental phenomenology, right, you can refer to Mustaka's 1994. I would love that English language teachers would engage into qualitative research, because this is where our language skills will be developed. Because in doing qualitative research, you really have to write, you really have to storytell, you really have to narrate, you really have to provide a rich, thick description of your findings of the result of your study. That's why I told you my manuscript was 720 pages, because that what is suited to an English language teacher. I hope you engage in doing qualitative research. So this research study focused on the lived experiences of educators as their collective voices were heard through the research design. So I collected data directly from the phenomena under study. So this is supported by Creswell 2007. So you can also refer to Creswell 2007, right, if you would like to engage in qualitative research. Because aside from transcendental, which is the focus of my study, you also have the hermeneutic, right? I would like to have another session on discussing qualitative research, particularly transcendental and phenomenological studies, because I know I am limited with the time. So I will be focusing on the method I used in my study. But if you would like to have, talk on qualitative research, particularly the phenomenological study, and then I can provide you my contact details, by email, and then you can invite me. So in this study, the phenomenon of educators engaged in continuing professional development in the new normal was explored. I defined each of the term in my study, right? I described them. So this qualitative research study included an in-depth analysis of the reported and shared experiences and testimonies from the participants. So the following were the transcendental phenomenological process I considered and used in the treatment of the qualitative data analysis. So these are the process. Remember, as I mentioned to you, I am not only sharing to you what is CPD in the new normal, I am also sharing with you how I was able to come up with this study. So this is the research process. And I am giving you an idea if you would like to go to a qualitative research, and then you can also follow the process I made. So I conducted synchronous individual interviews. Remember the terms because I know you have quiz. So I conducted synchronous individual interviews, asynchronous interviews through Google Form, and of course, what I really love doing is the online focus group discussion. So all the online interviews were conducted via Zoom because remember, I am from the Philippines. I actually took the challenge, of conducting research and international research because I realized that we were confined at home. We cannot go out, right? We will be doing the study online because this study was conceptualized, was completed during the height of the pandemic. We cannot go out, we cannot go anywhere. So I just realized why not conducting study abroad, right? Why not conducting study involving different countries since, right, we were required to do the turn digital method, right? I got the turn digital method when I attended, right, a webinar on transcendental phenomenology provided by University of the Philippines, Los Baños. So from there, I learned this turn digital method, which I applied in my study. So I've mentioned to you that the interviews were conducted via Zoom, of course, with the preferred time zone of my participants. So after conducting the interview, I myself transcribe in verbatim all the shared experiences of the participants. You know what? It took me 6 days to transcribe the individual interview. I wrote everything they have mentioned, they have shared, and then it was recorded. I asked for their consent. It took me 6 days, right? 6 days, as in 6 consecutive days, right? I just have short sleep. And then what I would really suggest is you personally transcribe the interviews. Why? Because you are going to have the first-hand experiences of the shared testimonies of your participants. So when you personally transcribe their verbatim, their statement, their shared experiences, so the more you can have an understanding, an in-depth understanding of their experiences, the more you can give meaning, the more you can reflect to their shared experiences. So the transcription were then submitted. So after the transcription, after I transcribe each of the participants, right, was provided with a copy of the transcription. So I asked them for the approval if I transcribed their responses correctly, right? Luckily, correctly and accurately. So luckily, they provided me their approval. Now, I practice setting aside. So this one is the epoche and the bracketing, right? And so in other country, it's pronounced as epoch or epoche or epoche, right? So in which context you are, in which country you are, right? So epoche in bracketing. So how do I practice this? So I practice setting aside my preconceived ideas. I listed down everything that I know about continuing professional development, right? And then I listed and bracketed all my preconceived ideas, biases, and judgment. And then my personal experiences, right? My personal experiences on the phenomenon were also revealed. Remember, I told you I listed down. So throughout the process, I observed this approach so I could set aside my views of the phenomenon. So I treated myself that as if I do not know, right? I do not know my study because everything will come fresh from my participants. So again, this is supported by Mustaka's 1994, right? And then the next step is the phenomenology of the in this phenomenological study was the phenomenological reduction. So I identified significant statements, from the transcription, right? I got the horizons, or I followed the horizontalization, right? So in the database from participants and treated them with equal value. So getting their significant statements. So specific statements in the transcript that describe the participant's views and experiences related to his or her lived experiences and continued professional development in the new normal were identified and numbered. I actually numbered, I got more than 300 significant statements, right? So after reviewing all the horizons, or again, when we talk about horizons, we talk about the significant statements, right? I examined all the invariant constituents and the interconnectedness of each quality. So again, I reminded practicing the phenological process of epoche or epoch, in which context you are, right? To ensure the participant's description and not by perception were considered throughout the data analysis. Remember, I focus on the verbatim statement, right? The shared testimonies of the participants, right? And then after this, examining their significant statements, talking about the um, invariant qualities and themes, right? So I clustered these statements into meaning units and themes. So from each of the significant statement, again, when we talk about significant statement, we're talking about horizons, right? So from each of the significant statement of the participants, I generated 56 initial themes and then derive from the exact word of the participant. So in this process, I use the Vivo coding. So if you're familiar, so in Vivo coding is championed by many for its usefulness in highlighting the voices of the participants. So this is supported by Manning 2017. So I use this to make sure, right, to make sure that um, I reflected the actual experiences of the participants, right? And then the next step was I examined the statements and initial themes and then clustered them into sub-themes. Remember from the 56 theme, I have 32 sub-themes or initial themes. And then from extracting the sub-themes, right, remember these themes came from the significant statements of the participants. The next step was to check and review the sub-themes, and then I maintained that the sub-themes and the main themes reflected the actual live experiences of the participants. So how to do this, right? The main themes were generated from the shared testimonies of the participants. I hope you're still there and you're still listening. Now, to fully describe the phenomena, a discovery of similar themes among from the different participants added to the rich descriptive analysis of the phenomena. We deleted overlapping statements, right? We really filter, and come up with a special thing, okay? So we do this when we synthesize the themes into a description of experiences of the individual. I also have this textual and structural description. Actually, my chapter 4 of my study, since this is the data analysis and presentation, was 256 pages. Remember, imagine how thick is my chapter 4, right? The data analysis was 256 pages. So I have this textual and structural description. So I wrote individual textual description. So when we talk about textual description, it talks about what was the experience, right? And then verbatim statement of the participants were lifted. So I included verbatim statement coming from the participants. I prepared the narratives representing the participants' experience with the phenomena. And then after that, after the individual, I composed the group or composite textual description, right? And the essences of the experience. So the composite textual description focus on group description. So again, after treating the individual textual description, then I have this group description of the participants' lived experiences. And then I did not stop from the textual, from the what was the experience. I also considered getting how was the experience. And this is the structural description. Textural, what was the experience? Structural, how was the experience, right? I integrated the structural qualities and themes into individual structural description. I discussed the experiences, the challenges, the perceptions on engaging in continued professional development and the new normal. And then I prepared again after the treating the individual structural, I prepared the composite or the group structural description. So I strive to give meaning to the setting and context in which the phenomenon were experienced. This is supported by Mastaka's 1994. So using the themes, I wrote the structural description of the individual experiences. A structural description discuss the meanings the individual attached to their lived experiences. So this is how we do the structural description, right? Then I synthesize the composite textual and structural description. I combine them, synthesize them, meanings and essences of the experiences. So the composite represented the meaning of the participants involved in the study. So I actually have a diagram which I'm going to show you later of the six themes, no? Because according to Code 2020, now we can present a thematic framework, right? Based on, how we like it to present. It could be on table, it could be in form of infographic or in the form of diagram. Is it up to us? All right. Now, of course, in a nutshell, I would like to share with you the results and findings of the study. Okay. So, for the first question, how do educators describe their experiences as regards the challenges encountered in CPD? So, these are their description. They express that their experiences in teaching the new normal were challenging and different. However, their testimonies also revealed that despite the challenges, their experience were also fun, were also productive and rewarding, and that they learned, right? They learned to manage or adjust the situation. Why? Because of their engagement with continuing professional development activities and trainings. Then, according to them, their challenges encountered in conducting professional development was about, trust, willingness, and mindset of teachers to learn and engage in professional development. We cannot actually blame teachers. Why? Because remember, everything happens in just a sudden, right? That we encounter technical aspects, technical issues. Of course, aside from the technical issues, our skills, right? The digital skills of the educators, right? So there are educators who are new to the system, who new to the process. Now, the internet connectivity issue, the cost, the speed of devices were also the challenge, right? Encountered by the participants. Now, they also said that technical, yeah, as I mentioned, the internet connection, internet cost, speed, devices were the biggest challenge on their engagement to professional development. You know what? We do not have same internet speed. Okay, so that this is really a problem. However, they pointed out the teachers were showing their eagerness. So despite of these challenges, they also showed eagerness, okay, and willingness to learn. So again, they also perceive trust, willingness, and mindset of teachers to learn and engage in professional development as challenge. So based on their shared testimonies, they dealt with teachers having different mindset, who struggled to trust and show willingness in engaging themselves with continued professional development in the new normal. And the majority of them revealed the different mindsets of teachers in terms of their engagement. Some were willing, Some were doubtful, some were not attending if they're familiar with the speakers. But then, of course, based from my own experiences, there are really many educators who engage themselves in professional development. So the next is they have attended virtual professional development, training, and online courses alone. I remember before, if we have viewers from the Philippines, from DepEd, you are familiar with what I'm going to share with you. I am from the higher education, but I attended the Aviva and the Vival courses. I took several courses, I think 15 to 20 courses under Vival, similar with the Aviva, right? From there, from my I would like to acknowledge this because from my attendance to them, I learned on my own on how to conduct webinars. Right, the first webinar that we have conducted was really challenging because I think the Zoom was not friendly before, and then we shifted using the Messenger. Right, because of my team, the webinar team, I call them the webinar team. We were able to successfully held to successfully hold our first webinar. So aside from looking for professional development opportunities, all the participants have created different trainings and workshops. Remember, I mentioned to you that they are also leading professional development trainings and sessions in their own country. So aside from their attendance, right, including myself, we voluntarily and freely shared with other educators the knowledge, skills, and opportunities that we have gained from continuing professional development. Remember, I mentioned to you how I started with providing webinars. I attended several webinars. I think the webinar started, we have restricted March 15, 2020. And then come April, we already have webinars from the higher education, webinars from Vival, webinars from DepEd in the new normal Facebook page. I attended, and then when I learned how to conduct, then we started conducting the professional development. I actually had the first plan with my mooker, Neil James Panganiban, right? Then they have manifested full engagement in professional development in terms of attending. Again, I mentioned to you trainings, webinars, online courses. I am an advocate of Canvas, Coursera, Future Learn. I engage myself finishing several, actually not several, but many courses from Future Learn, from Coursera, from Canvas. They are providing free certification and free courses. I love to engage in professional development. Okay. Participants revealed that they gained improvement of skills and potentials through professional development. In IELTA as well, in the International English Language Teachers Association, we are always providing professional development for teachers and for learners. All right. We have our department. So I am heading the 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 academic department. Remember, I am the director of the academic department, and under my umbrella, we have the research development, where we focus on research skills and capabilities of teachers. We have teachers professional development, where we are providing various webinars for pedagogy, for teaching methods, for activities assessment in line with the English language teaching. And we also have our learners development program, wherein we focus on providing skills, in developing skills and potentials of students and future educators, because we also have session for future English language teachers, right? This is how we are really in love with continuing professional development. Our commitment, our motivation, we are really inspired in providing professional development. And this IGP is, again, one of our professional learning networks that we can learn, aside from IELTA, the association I am engaged with, Laguna State Polytechnic University, because I am also the unit head of the Extension and Training Services Program. We have ongoing programs on professional development for teachers. We have ongoing professional development programs for educators around the world. So if you've noticed, I am affiliated with several institutions, with several associations. I'm actually a member of IGP. I'm very proud to say that I am an active member of the IGP. And this is in return of the opportunities that the IGP is providing. So here I am sharing of course, my study with you on continuing professional development. So this is my way of paying, the opportunities being provided by the IGP, right? Next, findings, how do they proceed? So they have utilized and employed various technology tools in conducting and facilitating continuing professional development. So these tools were also used and integrated in the classroom teaching, right? We use the Google Classroom, we use the Moodle, we use the Zoom, we use the Google Meet. In my classes, I integrated Padlet, which I also learned from my professional development. I engage with. It's a digital literacy training. I was with um, USA, Panama, Morocco, Britain as well. We were we were educators from different countries. We learned the digital learning tools. Actually, it was a course for 2 to 3 months, right? We also learned the flip grade, the Loom videos, which I also integrated in my classes, right? So aside from these of different platforms and tools for professional development, so they also build online collaboration. So what are these online collaboration? The different professional learning network that we have, right? The different collaborations that we are engaged with teachers around the world. I'm very proud to say that I already have collaborated with various educators around the world and was able to benchmark different activities, in enriching English language teaching and professional development. I'm an advocate of professional development for teachers as well as, of course, English language teaching. So we were able to have established partnership and collaborations. So how? We have different social media channels like Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp, right? And even podcast episode. This social media panel or these social media channels would help us collaborate with different countries around the world, right? It is actually a great feeling, a great opportunities if we go inside our boxes, if we go outside our boxes, if we go outside our context, because we can learn from different countries, from educators from different countries, which may be applicable in our own country. Okay, so the last findings, right? They revealed that they were able to do more international collaboration. I myself can testify that I was able to do various international collaboration. You know what? I was able to be interviewed as well at Voice of America and shared our learning experiences and shared the learning continuity plan of our university, Laguna State Polytechnic University, right? Shared with them the massive open online courses, which I'm also leading and providing in for different educators. And come this September, I already have, you know, planned and organized and set up the professional development for teacher trainers provided by Arizona State University. So I topped the IELTS board to be in charge of the different modules. And come this September, we will open the enrollment. I will personally facilitate the program, professional development for teacher trainers, all right? Now, participants stressed out the digital literacy skills and digital citizenship of teachers. So they also revealed that there were teachers who resist change, teachers who did not even grasp the situation, and teachers being set up in the traditional setting. These are the testimonies coming from the participants. Remember, these are natural and normal reaction because in the sudden, and abruptly, we were we were forced to shift from our traditional to the more modern to digital setting, which I would tell you that I am not actually that tech savvy, right? But because of engaging myself in professional development, remember I told you I took 3 month course with different countries on digital literacy skills training, and I owe a lot from Armin Kasabian because he exposed me with the different trainings, right, in line with digital literacy skills. However, I'm very proud to say that these teachers did their best to adjust to the situation by engaging themselves with training and collaborating with other teachers. I would suggest that don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help. You know, don't be afraid to explore, right? With different settings, to explore with different countries, and collaborate with other teachers. All right. And now I would like to share to you the themes. Remember, the last question there was the themes I had. I'm not going to discuss each, I'm just going to share with you as part of the continuing professional development during the pandemic. So the participants have manifested. So these are the 6 themes coming from the verbatim statement of the participants. No, coming from my interviews with them. Remember, I think it's part of the question, the synchronous interview, the asynchronous interview, and the focus group discussion. So these are the themes I presented in a framework I learned from Curco 2020 and how we will be presenting the thematic framework. So the first theme, as I mentioned, as part of the continuing professional development during the pandemic, the participants have manifested. Listen to these themes because this will help you in your quiz. And innovation to meet the demands of the current situation. So from the participants, they perceive that the new normal was challenging and very different. They also felt that there were a lot of challenges due to the sudden shift. Remember, I always mention the sudden shift. But due to their engagement with continuing professional development, they have learned to manage and adjust. So, the theme that emerged from the participants' testimonies implied that educators were trying, we're not actually trying, but we did our best to equip ourselves with the skills, right? Even though it may be difficult for us, but still, right, our engagement to continue professional development in the new normal help us adjust to the situation, right? It helped us to become innovative, to learn innovative tools and find activities and ways to deal with the teaching and learning in the new normal. The second theme was that with the forced transition from face to face to remote learning, the participants have tried their best, okay? Have tried their best to maintain balance, right? The digital skills and the life skills. Remember how would I say how stressful, right? How toxic if we are staying in our gadget for several hours, but then we also to manage balancing the digital skills and the life skills. So based on the testimonies from coming from the participants, no, I learned this from them. you know they perceived that they also had attended other training which was not technology related. Remember, we also focus on mental health, right, on social emotional wellness, on well-being, teacher mindfulness, right? We need this in the new normal. It's not only that we were engaged to equip ourselves with digital literacy and engage ourselves in how we are going to teach in the new normal using different online platforms, but then we also combat with adjusting to the work from home. But we also have attended, and I myself, I also have facilitated webinars concerning on teachers mindfulness. In Ayalta, we were able to conduct that, the social and emotional learning. right, among teachers. And it is very important that, we do not only nourish our brain cells, our mental capacity, our knowledge, right, our skills, but of course we also have to focus on our mental health, on our emotional well-being, our spiritual well-being. So aside from engaging with continuing professional development, because continuing professional development does not only focus on equipping ourselves with the different knowledge and skills, right? Our well-being should also be considered. Our mental health should also be considered. Our physical self should also be considered. All right. Now, again, the next theme, due to the current situation, participants engage in CPD. Why? To achieve creativity and resourcefulness. Remember, teachers are very resourceful. We always find ways, right? Now, they revealed that due to the current situation, they engage in continued professional development training to learn more tools and application. And we also have the self-directed learning, right? It's actually part of continued professional development, the self-directed learning. Whatever we do offline, we engage ourselves, doing intellectual discussion with our colleagues, engaging ourselves with different online courses, do the self navigation, the self learning. These are self directed learning. All right. And then, what else? Considered a blessing and a great opportunity during this time of pandemic was the connection and collaboration established. We were able to have founded the International English Language Teachers Association Philippines. And I started with Ayelta, and then after that, I opened the opportunity with the first five educators, right? The first ambassador, Dr. Kier Magina, right? And then we have Brian Binet Atencia. We have Dr. Lara Marie Bernardo, the current ambassador, and of course, Dr. Nina Medrano. And of course, we have Sir Reynold, right, from FEU. So we were able to establish the International English Language Teachers Association Philippines, wherein we already have more than 300 active members. So aside from that, the massive open online courses, the collaboration, it's not only that I have collaborated with educators from the Philippines, but of course, I learned a lot from educators from different countries. I love to benchmark their best practices. And every time I have of subjects, right? Teaching English a second language, introduction to linguistics, structure of English, which I handled in the graduate school program in the Master of Arts in Education major in English. I invite several, speakers coming from different countries. Aside from that, I also invite speakers in my classes undergraduate. When we talk about undergraduate, we talk about the Bachelor of Secondary Education major in English and other majors. Now, it's the college level. When we talk about undergraduate in our context, in the Philippine context, so we talk about the college level. I also invite, speakers who can talk about literature, speakers who can talk about literacies, right? It could be from the Philippines or from abroad. This is how I love to provide opportunities with different educators, from different countries, right? Not only focusing on my classes. I would like to equip, my classes with different skills, with different knowledge, benchmarking from different countries as well, right? And they were also exposed with different students from different countries. Okay, the most recent project that we have is the Suchana. It's a United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, wherein my students were also involved, and I myself was also involved in the project. All right, remember, this is not about equipping with skills, but this is another project concerning on saving the planet Earth. So how diverse the topics we were engaged with in line with continuing professional development, right? And of course, the last theme is the ever learning mindset and achieving satisfaction in their professional development. So, you know, remember I've mentioned this for several times that every day is a learning process. We should always equip ourselves with different tools. We should equip ourselves with different pedagogies. We should always equip ourselves with different learnings, because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, since we are practicing, since we are in the field, our students will benefit from what we have learned, from what we have gained from continuing professional development. All right. And then, of course, maintaining and sustaining mindfulness. I've mentioned this already, was believed by the participants to be an important priority engaged in CPD in the new normal. Remember, teachers, we have to consider what lies behind the camera, okay? What lies behind the virtual background, okay? We have to consider that. And since we are shifting to face, we have to consider what would be the setup, from 3 years of being confined at home, from doing this in front of the gadget. So how would it be now, the adjustment when we uh, turn, when we go back to the face-to-face classes. All right. And of course, um, these are the conclusions that I had. Okay, the findings know that all the participants' teaching experiences in the new normal were challenging. However, they found the experiences fun, productive, and rewarding. Right? They felt the teachers, aside from learning digital tools and enhancing digital skills, must also be supported with training that would help them grow emotionally. I'd mentioned this, physically and spiritually. That they realize the need to empower teachers through self-care and wellness. Remember, it's not only the brain that we sustain, right? But also our heart, our spirit, our emotion. That all the participants believe that teachers' collaboration during their engagement with the new professional development in the new normal. They recognize and value CPD in fostering a community of practice. This is what I love in CPD. We foster community of practice, sharing ideas, methods, and resources, getting to know other people from across the globe. All were made possible through teachers' connection and collaboration during CPD. So that there were participants who received COVID relief grant. This is part of the program that I have experienced. All right. What else? The culture of professional learning, where individual needs are met and considered. What I love in IGP is this one. The culture of professional learning provided by IGP. Okay, IGP is one of the source, right, of the provider for the continuing professional development of teachers. So this is actually my topic is actually suited with the IGP, since IGP is a provider of continuing professional development for educators, and this is in the new normal, right? IGP, CPD in the new normal. This is actually the context of my topic. Now, all the participants realize the significance and relevance of CPD to their personal and professional growth and development. That again, I would like to mention that we have to thank and acknowledge IGP as one of the providers of continuing professional development. Remember, when I was browsing all the webinars provided by IGP, remember how they focus on personal and professional growth and development of educators, right? And IGP is one of the testimonies, one of the providers of this CPD. Okay, I will no longer tell you the recommendations I have on my study. Again, you can browse from Google. You just have to type in the title of my research and it's available. All right, this is the output of my study. It's a module, a continuing professional development for educators in the new normal. So I also have here my advisor as my consultant. I am the author. So it has 4 areas. Number 1, what is the CPD all about, the discussion of the CPD. Number two, this is very important. Before providing any professional development for educators, we have to assess, we have to find out, to analyze their needs, the needs of the teachers and the CPD, in the continuing professional development. And of course, priority skills and competencies. I titled this priority skills and competencies training plan because this emerge, right? The priority skills and competencies training plans emerge from the testimonies of my participants. And of course, every time that we conduct courses, every time that we provide training, every time that we provide seminars, workshop, it is very important that we monitor, we evaluate, we sustain, the continuing professional development, and we also study the impact, okay? The impact of the courses that we have provided. Just like the same as we are doing in our classes, right? We monitor the learning of our students. We evaluate and we sustain, right? We sustain their learning, right? Uh, and of course, we find the impact. Did our students really learn from us? Can they apply the learning process, or can they apply the learning that they have gained from us? Okay, they learn from the teaching process. Okay, so this is the content of the module, right? Which I am willing to share with you. Okay, I think this is the last part of my session. So again, I am Dr. Glenn Parilla Cortazano. I am from the Philippines, affiliated with, of course, I'm instructor 3 from Laguna State Polytechnic University, Los Baños campus, under the College of Teacher Education. And of course, I am also the academic department director of the International English Language Teachers Association. So before I end, I would like to thank my university, Laguna State Polytechnic University, headed by our university president, Dr. Mario Arbriones, together with the university official, and of course, my dean, the Associate Dean of the College of Teacher Education, Dr. Karen Manaidi. And a special hi and hello to my advisor, Dr. Rolando Maninas. Once again, I hope you learn and get something from my discussion of the continuing professional development in the new normal. IGP, I salute you for the platform that you are providing with the educators. Thank you so much, and see you soon again. Thank you, IGP.
Thank you, ma'am, Dr. Glenn, for your wonderful and fruitful presentation you share with our participants. Thank you, ma'am. And now we are proceed to our quiz competition, and after that we come back again with our Q&A session. Okay, ma'am?
All right.
Thank you. Dear participants, now we are proceed to our quiz competition. Today our quiz code is IGP quiz. Let's enjoy our quiz video. Dear participants, this is our live quiz competition. You can join this session by slido.com. And today our quiz code is IGP quiz. You can also scan our QR code from the screen to join this session. And don't forget to mention your friends in this session to join this live quiz session. Today, top 10 quiz competition winners get their quiz certificate after this session from our official Facebook page. Our Facebook page address is Institute of Global Professionals. We start our quiz competition after 1 minute later, so don't be hurry up. I request everyone to join with your full name, which should likely print on your certificate. Now 33 participants already joined with us. We start our quiz competition in a short time, so join the hurry up. Let's start our quiz competition now. Our first question is technology developed in the space program. Is it a spin off or sound off? Option number one, spin off is the right answer. Our next question is, what does CPD stand for? Is it continuing practice development or continuing professional development? Option number two, continuing professional development is the right answer. Our next question is, reflection is effective CPD. The statement is true or false? The statement is true. Option number one is the right answer. Our next question is, what is the AAT-CPD cycle? Is it plan, evaluate, action, access, or access, plan, action, and evaluate? Option number two, access, plan, action, and evaluate is the right answer. Our next question is, how many CPD hours must you complete? Is it 75 hours or 20 hours? Option number two, 20 hours is the right answer. Our next question is, the stages of the CPD cycle are reflection, action, planning, and dash. Is it emphasis or evaluation? Option number 2, evaluation, is the right answer. Our next question is, there have been a few CPD sessions on questioning this year, but what are the three purposes of questioning? Is it to generate knowledge and probe understanding, or to generate knowledge, probe knowledge, and problematize knowledge? Option number 2, to generate knowledge, problem knowledge, and problem probe knowledge and problematize knowledge, is the right answer. Our next question is, normal or ordinary? Is it common or object? Option number 1, common, is the right answer. Our next question is, gain knowledge or a new skill? Is it learn or object? Option number 1, learn, is the right answer. Our next question is, to learn new information, a student must get enough rest or connect new to known. Option number 2, connect new to known, is the right answer. Thank you everyone for attending this session, and congratulations of our top 10 quiz competition winners. Top 10 quiz competition winners get their quiz certificate after this session from our official Facebook place. On the leaderboard, now the top position is Ginalyn S. De La Cruz, and the second one is Salian N, and the third one is Ricky Kolima, and the following are Motaba Mark, Jimma Benella, Lipakunla, Jimalin Biribera, Nismiro Galli. Thank you everyone for attending this session. Our speaker maybe left the platform. Now we proceed to our certification process. program name is CPD program in the new normal, and today our certificate code is IGP 9321. The code is 9321. Without code, no one is eligible for certificate. With code, you can claim your e-certificate anytime from our website. Our website address is edyzp.com. After downloading your certificate, don't forget to celebrate with IGP checking. Thank you everyone for attending this session. Before ending the program, I request everyone to like our official Facebook page and subscribe our YouTube channel. I hope you learned something new from this session. Thank you everyone. Stay happy and stay safe.